you and I worked a great angle. A lot of people believed it, and even a lot of pros actually believed it was for real.
This is Hannibal from thehannibaltv.com, and one of the questions I am asked the most in about the past 10 months since the incident happened was what the altercation you had with former WWE, WCW, and NWA superstar Billy Jack Haynes during last year's WrestleMania weekend markout at the Meadowlands event in New Jersey. Was that incident a work, or did you guys actually have some heat? A lot of people said they've seen a lot of my interviews, and I'm never really that combative, I guess you could say, during my interviews as I was there. Well, the truth of the matter is, Billy Jack Haynes is actually appearing for the Hannibal TV this year, April 3rd and 4th at WrestleCon 2020 in Tampa, Florida at George M. Steinbrenner Field. Mike McGurk, the former female WWE ring announcer, will also be there announcing for us, doing some small interviews, and also meeting fans at the table. We invite all you fans to come to the table and meet them, where we will have cameras running. But to get into the story of why that happened, the second day of WrestleCon, I was basically in a hotel room. I think it was at the Hilton in New York, where WrestleCon was happening last year. I think the Manhattan downtown New York Hilton or something like that. I was basically locked in the room 24 hours a day editing. David Penzer was doing interviews for us last year. And he was, to be honest with you, he was whining a lot. We flew him from Tampa. We got him an expensive hotel room there. I guess I could have just done the interviews myself to save on his cost, because I didn't feel he had done as good of a job as previous years in those interviews. So it was the end of the WrestleCon day. We went out to have dinner at a diner that was just around the corner from the Hilton. We walk into this diner, and there is Billy Jack Haynes sitting with Val Venus, and they have the same agent, Eric Sims, at a table. And I was actually happy to see Val Venus, because at that point I had been wanting to get a career interview with him for years. And for whatever reason, he wasn't responding to my messages. He may have had a lot of mail or whatever, but he was very interested in doing an interview with me, and I ended up getting one with him. But Billy Jack Haynes, strangely enough, seemed very excited to see me that day. And he asked me to step outside with him. So I'm thinking to myself, this is strange. I've never met this guy before. He wants to talk to me away from David Penzer, the cameraman, Val Venus, and his agent. It's a little odd. So he takes me outside, says he wants to work some type of angle with me. He's seen a lot of the stuff I've done on my The Hannibal TV YouTube channel. And he suggested that maybe at Markout at the Meadowlands, we do some sort of angle. He gave me his number there as well, I believe. And we kind of left it at that. We went back into the diner, kind of kayfabed everyone in the diner about what we had discussed about. I guess everyone seemed to have assumed that we had some sort of problem with each other that we discussed out there, but nothing was further from the truth regarding that. So, as I mentioned, Penzer had been whining. He didn't want to do the markout at the Meadowlands interviews the final day, despite us hiring him for the 3 days. So I got the idea right there, well, why don't we just pay him for that third day, and I'll go and do it myself. If he's just going to whine, I might as well just do it. And then in the back of my head, I'm thinking, okay, well, I guess if I end up doing the interviews there, that might give me an opportunity to do something with Billy Jack Haynes. So we arrived there. It was put on, by the way, by my good friends at the two-man power trip of wrestling and Nicholas Massey, another autograph person that I've been working with for years, helping me get interviews. At first, it was very busy. So I avoided interviewing Billy Jack Haynes at first because I did not want to make too much of a scene that would have got me a lot of heat for making a scene at the markout at the Meadowlands. So I waited until close to the end, had a brief, like 30-second to 1 minute discussion with Billy Jack Haynes, and then we kind of just ad-libbed the altercation. It came off very well. I remember Road Warrior Animal and Shane Douglas coming up to me after, telling me that he's lost his mind, and some of the people running the event apologized to me for Billy Jack Haynes, said he was acting very weird. Another guy, I don't even want to mention his name because he's a dick, said he thought that Billy Jack Haynes had been drinking, which he hadn't been. So it was pretty interesting that we were in a room full of wrestling legends, and everyone seemed to think our little altercation was a shoot. I even received a text message for Road Warrior Hannibal probably a couple weeks later saying, hey, leave this whole Billy Jack Haynes mess alone. It might cause you some heat within their business. But the reason why he wanted to do that initially was because he was getting on hepatitis C medication to get cured of hepatitis C, and he felt that we could build that up into a match where we would wrestle in a match and create a lot of interest in the match. And he wanted to have one last great match in his career because he never really had an official retirement match. Well, the good news is he did get clear of hepatitis C, thank God. He's got a multitude of other issues going on with his health, including some heart issues. So anyone that's ever seen me wrestle knows that I can chop really hard. I don't think chopping a man with heart issues in the chest is wise. And with some other health issues he has, he really needs to focus on his health. So there was no matches. Then for this RF video face-off gimmick, the only reason I did that was because they were going to give Billy Jack Haynes a payoff for that. They did not pay me anything for that. I didn't think the interviewer was any good, to be perfectly honest. We had the opportunity to be asked any questions during the time that we were there. I mean, I asked Billy Jack Haynes a few questions about his career. That interviewer asked me nothing about my career. Pretty much, he could have got a lot more for whatever they paid Billy Jack to do that. So I was disappointed in that whole video situation, but I'm glad that Billy Jack Haynes did get a payday out of that. And of course, if you guys want to meet Billy Jack Haynes in person, WrestleCon 2020, he will be at the Hannibal TV table April 3rd and 4th, Tampa, Florida, George M. Steinbrenner Field. Mike McGurk, as I said, is also going to be there. I think we are going to have cameras running at our table in case anything interesting happens. I personally am not going to be attending WrestleCon this year, but I will have representatives there. And of course, Mike McGurk will be doing the interviews for me, Billy Jack doing some interviews. But I'll be perfectly honest with all you guys, it greatly depresses me to be around the WrestleMania weekend events because I'm not involved in it in any wrestling capacity. And when I was a young kid, it was always my dream to be involved in that. But now that I've come to the realization that that's never going to happen, it's just torturous for me to be around those events. So I'm going to keep my distance. I will be at this year's Cauliflower Alley reunion in Las Vegas that Terry Funk is hosting, by the way. So that should be very interesting. And I'm going to be covering that for the Hannibal TV later on in April. So I'm really looking forward to that.
Thank you for watching the Hannibal TV. Please like this video if you enjoyed it and click the subscribe button to not miss any of our latest shoot interviews, match videos, or news updates. Support us on patreon.com for $1.99 a month to watch our full shoot interviews ad-free and help our channel grow. Follow us on Twitter at the Hannibal TV for instant updates.